Hello, everyone. This is the end of March, or not March. We're in April. I don't know what fucking day it is. I'm a night shifter. Time has no meaning. Time is just a grand conspiracy that's gone all the way back to the age of the sundial. It's meant to sell watches. Anyway, let's move on and get to the actual topic of this. It's the end of April. It's time for my reading report. It's where I just talk about all the books and comics and audio books that I went through in the month of April. And there's a few of them that I'm probably going to be talking about in depth. Anyway, without further ado, there's a lot here because I did much better than I did last month. And without further ado, let's get started. The first thing that was on the list, and I said in my April TBR video that it was going to be first on the list, was Threshold, Stories from Cradle by Will White. As I said in that video, excuse me, I love the Cradle series. I binged pretty much the entirety of the series last year, except for Unsold, which I read at the end of 2023? Yeah, 23. And, this is just more Cradle goodness. In fact, it's more Cradle goodness that makes me want more of it. So, Will, if you could get on that. I know you're busy working on another series right now, but Will, if you could get on that. These are a collection of short stories set in the Cradle universe, some preceding the events of Cradle, some during the events of Cradle, most of them set after or during the events of Waybound, the final volume. So, pretty much if you haven't read Cradle, start with Unsold, go all the way to the end of Waybound, and then you can pick this up. At least that's what I recommend. It does give you context, so, like, it does give you some context of, like, what you should have read in order to read this. For example, the first chapter, the first Uncrowned King, information requested the original Uncrowned King tournament, report location long before the events of the Cradle series, context, the reader should have read at least through the 8th Cradle volume, Wintersteel. So there is stuff like that throughout, that precedes the chapters. Next up was the 5th volume in the Son of Eater series by Christopher Rocchio, Ashes of Man, the sort of part 2 to Kingdoms of Death, as they had originally been meant to be one volume, but it was just too big. Still a complete book, and oh boy, this book broke my heart. Why'd you do it, Chris? Why'd you do it, Christopher? I'm not gonna say why, for spoiler reasons. Book 4 was a giant nightmare, in a good way, sort of. And then this one broke my heart. I'm still looking forward to getting around to Disquiet Gods. Maybe next month, maybe not. There's a lot more I can say about this without getting into spoilers. Alright, then after that, we had House of Blades, the first book of the Traveler's Gate trilogy by Will White. I listened to that one on audio. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I kind of half forced myself to get through that one. It was fine, but, like, I don't know. It just didn't grip me like Cradle did. But I understand. It was Will's first book. I might listen to the rest of the trilogy on audio. I don't know. We'll see what happens. The next one, for which should not be a shocker if you've seen my video that I did on the entire sub-series, Star Wars Legacy of the Force, Book 9, Invincible. I like the series. Obviously, I did a recommendation video on it. Yeah, that's pretty much that. If you want to hear more about it, go watch that video. That's how YouTubers do this, right? We just plug our own shit and other shit. Sure. Then next up, we had the second book of The Reckoners, Firefight by Brandon Sanderson. If you don't know what The Reckoners is, it's basically, like, I can describe the basic premise as The Boys, but a lot less horny and a lot less nihilistic. It's people with an event happened, people got superpowers, supervillains basically took over the world, and there's a group of people that are fighting back. This is the second volume of the trilogy. I know there's a fourth one on audio. There's also a sort of 1.5 novella, Mitosis. Yeah. Firefight was a return to form that I enjoyed in Steelheart. I know there's a fourth audio book, but I don't know how connected it is to the rest of this, so I'm just going to call it a trilogy for now. It was really good. I enjoyed it. I look forward to getting around to Calamity sometime in the near future. Alright, and then after that, we had my first DNF of the month. There's more than one. And that was Dragon Age Last Flight by Leanne Merciel. It's more or less a standalone story set in the Dragon Age universe. It's post Dragon Age 2 for the present day story, but it goes all the way back to the Fourth Blight for its other story, and it deals with basically what happened during the Fourth Blight and what happened to the Griffins. You kind of knew what happened to them if you had played Dragon Age Veilguard, like I did. So, I don't know whether it was the fact that I knew how this story ended already, or if I just wasn't feeling this book, but I did DNF it. And unfortunately, that was the one that, this was the last one for my Dragon Age books. So, that's it. No more Dragon Age. And I, kind of fittingly, in terms of what made me choose to quit playing the games, it goes out on a whimper. But I'm still going to keep this, as this was a gift given to me. Anyway. Then, after that, we had the next novella in the Sun Eater. Oh, the stack is falling over. Oh, shit. Here we go. Nope. This is not going according to plan at all. Okay. We had the next novella, and I think last novella, actually, because the Tales of the Sun Eater books aren't out. At least not in print. The next novella in the Sun Eater series, The Dregs of Empire by Christopher Rocchio. This is Lorien Aristides' book, and I'll be real with y'all. This is probably down there at the bottom of my Sun Eater rankings. I don't know what it was, man, but I just felt like getting through this book was a chore. I can't really go into this much without spoiling Ashes of Man, but Lorien's in a place where just he's on his own, he's away from everybody, and just, I don't know, man. Like, I like Lorien in the main series. I don't know why this one just didn't work for me. I don't know. I don't know what more to say beyond that. But then, following that, we had the third publication in Star Wars The High Republic, Into the Dark by Claudia Gray. I'm trying to get into the High Republic stuff. As far as reading order, I'm following the recommended reading order by the YouTube channel Star Wars Lads. I know it's been predominantly the big, publishing thing for the last 5-6 years. How long ago was that announced? I don't remember. But I know it's been like the big chunk of publishing has been High Republic stuff. And I wanted to give it its fair shake. I've had gripes with some of the High Republic stuff. I still say that Into the Light... No. That's a recent one. Light of the Jedi. Why couldn't I think of that? Light of the Jedi, the first book. I think that it had the wrong kind of beginning. So, Light of the Jedi has sort of like a thriller pacing type beginning where there's this big catastrophic event happening, and like we're on a timer here, and that's when we choose to introduce our characters. And it just feels like the pacing stops for that. Like, I know, A New Hope, the first ever Star Wars film, starts with, this chase between, the Rebel Blockade Runner and the Imperial Star Destroyer. But it wasn't a, hey, we're trying to save a bunch of lives, we're on a fucking countdown timer here. This was, hey, this is the little guy, the rebels, running away and having to fight, the bigger guys, the Empire. Like, it gives two different vibes. And that, in the case of A New Hope, I feel like that is fine to have that sort of beginning, where you start introducing your characters. Not so much when, the good guys are on a countdown to extinction clock. I don't feel like that's the best place to start with all that. But like I said, I have my nitpicks. But so far, they've been pretty solid. They've been pretty decent. I'm going to keep going. In fact, there is another High Republic entry on here that I will get to in a moment. But I'm not promising that I will get through all of them. The next one on our list was Predator vs. Black Panther by Benjamin Percy. I did a video on this one also, if you want to know what I think about this comic, other than I fucking loved it. Go check out that video. Then, following that was another High Republic entry, and it's the first volume of the first phase of the first set of comics, the Phase 1 comics, and There Is No Fear by Kevin Scott. Another one of my gripes pops up here, where it's the infamous one. It's the stabbing a lightsaber into a rock face to break or fall, whereas the lightsaber would just keep cutting unless you hit like a Beskar deposit or something. Yeah. A lot of the internet chat on this one for that. It's definitely a gripe. It didn't really kill my enjoyment of this comic, so I am going to keep going. Like I said, though, no promises that I'm going to finish High Republic. Following that was my other DNF for this month, and that was The Exorcist by William Peter, or Blatty, something, which I listened to on audio. Excuse me. Now, I love the Exorcist film. I really, really like that film. And I had heard good things about the book, especially from this Exorcism podcast I listened to. They actually say that the book is better, at least in terms of how it presents, exorcism and stuff like that. I'm gonna be real with y'all. Like, that one didn't click for me. It didn't grab me. Again, it felt like a chore to be listening to it. So, I just kind of gave up on it, honestly. Which is unfortunate. I really, really wanted to like that book. Following that was another comic, Batman vs. Superman, The Greatest Battles by various different authors, since this is a compilation comic of several different times that Batman and Superman have fought. Specifically, can I find the page? The battle from Batman 6112 in 2003, One Night in Gotham City from Man of Steel #3 in 1986, Who Would Win from Superman Batman 78 in 2011, Justice League Part 2 from Justice League #2 in 2011. I think that's the New 52 run. It might be. I don't know. I'm planning on reading those comics eventually. Batman Endgame Parts 1 and 2 from Batman number 35 to 36, 2014. I think that's part of the Scott Snyder run. Yeah, actually, Scott Snyder is the author. I did skip over that one because, as we'll see when I talk about my TBR for next month, because, spoiler alert, I'm doing that in this video, I'm going to read that comic, so I didn't want to see that part of it. And then The Dark Knight Falls from Batman The Dark Knight by Frank Miller. That's the famous one. It's the one that got the animated movie. It's the one that was more or less inspired part of Batman v Superman. That god-awful movie. But this is fun. It's always fun to see Batman and Supes go toe-to-toe. Following that, we had my first foray into the wider universe of Diablo. In this case, it is the comic Sword of Justice. I had fun playing Diablo 3. I really wanted to play Diablo 4, but it is an online only and only multiplayer, so, fuck you, Blizzard. Fuck you for that one. And, I have not gotten around to trying, the Resurrected edition for Diablo 2. Maybe I will someday, maybe not. I don't know, my gaming... How I've been feeling about gaming's been weird lately, but you're not here to listen about that, you're here to listen about books. Following that, we're getting near the end of the list, I promise. Following that was another Batman comic, and this was Batman Volume 7 Graveyard Shift by Scott Snyder, continuing his run of the Batman comics. This is a bunch of different short stories set throughout different parts of the Batman mythos, both of Scott Snyder's run and otherwise. Following that, second to last, was The Collapsing Empire, the first of the Interdependency trilogy by John Scalzi, my first John Scalzi book, which I've heard a lot of things about him. I listened to that on audio. I finished that just today, actually. I know most people suggest starting with Old Man's War, like that's like the famous John Scalzi book. But I had browsed through some of his stuff on Amazon. Collapsing Empire got my interest, and it went on sale before Old Man's War did, so shrug. But I really enjoyed it. I'm going to continue that trilogy, and it's given me some insight of maybe I'm going to keep up with reading some of Scalzi's work. Maybe Old Man's War will be the next one again, too. Oh, excuse me. And finally, the last one for the month was Batman Eternal, Volume 1 by Scott Snyder, taking place between... more or less, it's like between volumes 6 and 7 of Scott Snyder's Batman run. It's the first of a big event in Gotham. Jim Gordon's been framed for murder, and the Bat family are both trying to deal with that, figure out who framed Jim for murder, as well as deal with a whole bunch of shit that has cropped up in Gotham City that is seemingly unrelated, but there's a chance that it's not. Yeah, this was a hell of a read. It's a thick boy, and I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to continuing the next 2 volumes. Which leads me, nice segue, into my May TBR list. So I'm going to be simple and straightforward. The reason that it's being on this video as opposed to, doing an entirely separate video like I did for April's. Laziness. Laziness is the reason. So, May's TBR list. I want to knock the Scott Snyder Batman run, like the New 52 run, off my list of series to finish. Because we're getting close to the midpoint of the year, and we still got quite a bit left on this list. So with that in mind, what's left in the Scott Snyder Batman run, we have the second volume of Batman Eternal, the third and final volume of Batman Eternal, then we have Endgame, Batman and Robin Eternal, Volume 1, Batman and Robin Eternal, Volume 2, Batman, Volume 8, Batman, Volume 9, Bloom, and then finally, Batman, Volume 10, Epilogue. Those are what I am planning on trying to get through in the month of May. If I can work in any more books, probably some audiobooks, but if I can work in any more books in there, I will attempt to do so, but finishing off Batman is my main goal. So with that all in mind, I hope you all enjoyed the video. I'm sitting these books off to the side where I can just conveniently grab them when it's time for them. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I hope you all have a good day. Just let me know some of your thoughts down in the comments. Any opinions on the stuff that I've read, that I'm going to read. What are you guys reading next month, if you're reading anything? Anyways, y'all have a good one. May the Lord God bless you all. And if that's not your thing, have a good day. Peace out, everybody.